Have you ever felt stuck, like your dreams are too big and your progress too small? Let me tell you something powerful. It's not the giant leaps that build empires, it's the tiny, consistent steps you take every single day. The truth is, small wins may look invisible to others, but they're the foundation of every great success story the world has ever seen. Momentum is the secret engine behind every success story. When we think of success, we often imagine it as a single, grand event, a big launch, a breakthrough moment, or an overnight transformation. But that's not how it truly works. Success is built quietly, one small step at a time, through consistent effort and perseverance. The real difference between those who achieve and those who only dream lies in how they treat the small things. Those who understand the power of small wins know that each victory, no matter how tiny, is a spark that fuels the fire of progress. When you accomplish something, even if it's just a small task, your brain releases dopamine, the reward chemical. This doesn't just make you feel good, it also motivates you to keep going. The process becomes addictive in a positive way. The more you achieve, the more you want to achieve. That's how momentum is created, not from huge leaps, but from small, consistent actions that build energy, confidence, and rhythm over time. Think about how a snowball starts rolling. It begins as something tiny, fragile, and easy to overlook, but as it rolls, it picks up speed, weight, and unstoppable force. Small wins are that snowball. They might seem meaningless at first, but with each row, each completed task, each mini goal, each act of discipline, they grow stronger. This momentum doesn't just help you move forward, it makes it harder to stop. Once you get into the rhythm of winning daily, quitting feels unnatural. That's how success compounds. You go from small steps to big strides, and before you realize it, you've crossed milestones you once thought were impossible. Momentum also creates confidence. Every win whispers, "You can do this." Each small victory rewrites the story in your mind from "I can't" to "I'm capable." When you believe you're capable, your decisions change. You take more action, you face more challenges, and you stay consistent. All because you've built belief through small, repeatable progress. Success is never a giant leap. It's the result of hundreds of invisible, daily wins that build unshakable self-trust. But momentum can't exist without motion. That's where most people fail. They wait for motivation before they move. But motivation doesn't create action. Action creates motivation. Taking that first small step, even when you don't feel ready, triggers the energy you've been waiting for. It's not about doing everything. It's about doing something. One call, one page, one push up, one step forward. Once you start, you'll find that the hardest part wasn't the task itself. It was getting started. When you build a life around small wins, you're building a system that keeps you moving even on the hardest days. You no longer depend on luck, perfect conditions, or bursts of inspiration. You've created your own momentum, a self-sustaining loop of progress and motivation. That's the real power of small wins. They transform your energy, reshape your identity, and build unstoppable motion toward your goals. Small wins also protect you from burnout. Big goals can feel overwhelming, almost impossible at times. But when you break them down into smaller, achievable parts, you shift the focus from the mountain to the next step. Instead of worrying about reaching the peak, you celebrate reaching the next milestone. This shift in focus turns stress into satisfaction. You begin to enjoy the journey instead of fearing it. Success no longer feels like a distant dream. It becomes something you live daily through small actions that accumulate over time, over weeks and months. These wins start to stack up, and with each one, your identity changes. You stop seeing yourself as someone trying to succeed and start seeing yourself as someone who is succeeding. That identity shift is priceless. Because once you start viewing yourself as capable, consistent, and driven, you naturally take actions that align with that identity. You no longer chase success, you attract it through who you've become. Momentum, once built, is a force that carries you even when motivation fades. There will be days when you feel tired, uncertain, or uninspired, but your momentum will keep you going. You'll look back and realize that every tiny win mattered, the early mornings, the small improvements, the quiet efforts that no one applauded. Those moments built the momentum that now powers your journey. So if you're waiting for a perfect moment to start, stop waiting. Start small, start messy, but just start. Celebrate every minor victory, because each one is a building block in the architecture of your future. The small wins you gather today will turn into unstoppable momentum tomorrow. And before long, that momentum will carry you to places that once felt unreachable. That's the real magic, when small, quiet actions create extraordinary, visible results. Success doesn't belong to those who start fast. It belongs to those who keep going when the excitement fades. We live in a world that glorifies intensity, overnight transformations, 30-day challenges, and all-or-nothing mindsets. But the truth is, those bursts of energy rarely last. Intensity gets you started, but consistency keeps you moving. The people who achieve greatness are not necessarily the smartest or the strongest. They're the ones who stay committed day after day, even when progress seems slow and invisible. Consistency is the quiet power that outlasts enthusiasm. Anyone can show up when it's easy, but true consistency shows up when it's boring, tiring, or inconvenient. It's easy to give 100% for a week. It's much harder to give 1% every day for a year. But here's the paradox: that small daily 1% effort leads to far greater results than a short burst of 100%. The person who writes 1 page a day finishes a book in a year. The person who saves a little each week builds wealth over time. The person who exercises for 20 minutes daily transforms their body, while others who go hard for a month fade away. Consistency isn't glamorous, but it's powerful. It builds discipline, and discipline builds reliability. When you show up every day, even without motivation, you train your mind to operate on commitment, not emotion. You stop negotiating with yourself. You stop saying, "I'll do it when I feel like it," and start saying, "I'll do it because I said I would." That small mental shift separates those who wish from those who win. Discipline doesn't care about feelings, and that's why it wins every time. Think of consistency like compound interest, small deposits of effort that grow exponentially over time. One workout won't change your life, but 300 workouts will. One act of kindness won't transform your character, but daily kindness will. The magic isn't in doing something huge. It's in doing something small repeatedly until it becomes a part of who you are. That's how habits are built, not through inspiration, but through repetition. Every time you repeat a positive behavior, you're reinforcing a pattern that eventually runs automatically. That's when consistency turns into identity. Most people give up because they underestimate the power of time. They want results now, so they chase intensity, fast, hard, loud effort. But success rarely happens in a burst. It's quiet, it's slow. It's built in silence when no one's watching. The great achievers understand this. They focus on the process, not the outcome. They trust that consistent effort, even without visible results, is still progress. They know that every brick laid daily, no matter how small, is part of a foundation that will one day support something massive. Consistency also builds resilience. When you commit to showing up daily, you learn how to push through resistance. You stop being controlled by excuses. You realize that even your worst day, your slowest, weakest, most distracted day, still counts if you showed up. Because showing up is the hardest part. Each day you overcome your own resistance, you grow stronger mentally and emotionally. You learn that success isn't about feeling ready, it's about staying ready. There's a quiet confidence that comes from being consistent. You stop worrying about results because you know you're doing the right things. You trust yourself more. You know that even if you're not there yet, you will get there because you're consistent. And that kind of faith in your own habits, your own system, your own persistence, is more powerful than any external motivation. You no longer depend on inspiration from others. You create your own momentum through consistency. Consistency is also the great equalizer. You don't need to be the most talented, the most educated, or the most connected. If you show up daily and others don't, you will eventually surpass them. Talent fades without effort. Intelligence means nothing without action. But consistency, that steady, quiet effort, compounds until it becomes undeniable. It's the secret weapon that turns ordinary people into extraordinary achievers. The problem is, consistency doesn't feel rewarding in the short term. It feels repetitive, slow, and sometimes invisible. You'll have days when you feel like nothing is working, when progress feels non-existent. But that's exactly when consistency matters most. Because while you can't always see the growth, it's happening beneath the surface. Just like a seed that spends weeks growing unseen roots before it breaks the soil, your efforts are preparing you for visible success later. The results will come, not suddenly, but surely. So instead of chasing intensity, the all-night study sessions, the crash diets, the frantic sprints, build systems that allow you to stay consistent. Create routines that you can sustain even on your worst days. Choose habits that fit your life, not ones that burn you out. Because consistency is not about perfection. It's about persistence. It's about doing something, even a little every single day. In the end, consistency beats intensity because it outlasts it. Intensity fades when motivation fades, but consistency doesn't rely on motivation. It relies on purpose, patience, and persistence. The world doesn't reward those who start fast. It rewards those who never stop. And the truth is, the gap between average and exceptional isn't talent, luck, or opportunity. It's consistency. The one who keeps showing up, keeps trying, and keeps improving, that's the one who wins. One of the most misunderstood truths about success is that clarity doesn't come before action. It comes from action. Most people wait for the perfect plan, the ideal timing, or absolute certainty before they begin. They want to see the entire road before taking the first step. But life doesn't work that way. The path only reveals itself as you walk it. Every small win, every action you take, gives you feedback, direction, and insight. It helps you see what works, what doesn't, and what needs to change. Clarity isn't something you find in stillness. It's something you earn through movement. Think about it. When you take a small action, even one that feels uncertain, you immediately gain information. Maybe it's not the outcome you expected, but it's data, real, valuable data that teaches you more than endless planning ever could. A small win acts like a flashlight in the dark. It might not light up the whole path, but it's enough to show you the next few steps. And once you take those, you'll see further. The more you move, the clearer the path becomes. The people who achieve success are not the ones who have everything figured out from the beginning. They are the ones who start despite not knowing, and through action, they discover clarity along the way. The problem is that most people are paralyzed by the fear of making mistakes. They think if they can't make the perfect move, it's better not to move at all. But perfection is the enemy of progress. Waiting for clarity before you act is like waiting for a fire to start before you add wood. You must start small. Take one step, make one call, try one idea, and then observe what happens. Each small win you create refines your direction. It tells you, yes, this works, or no, try something different. That feedback loop is what transforms confusion into confidence. Every small win gives you evidence that progress is possible. It replaces hesitation with momentum. When you achieve even the tiniest success, finishing a project, hitting a small goal, improving a single skill, it changes your mental state. Suddenly, the goal that seemed too big feels a little more real, a little more reachable. You begin to see how your efforts connect, how one step leads to another. That sense of clarity doesn't come from thinking, it comes from doing. The act of achieving a small win cuts through the noise of doubt and brings focus where there was once uncertainty. Small wins also help you prioritize. When you start small and see results, you begin to understand what truly matters and what doesn't. You learn which efforts give the highest return and which are distractions. Many people waste years chasing big goals with unclear direction because they never stop to test their path. But those who embrace small wins build clarity one step at a time. Each little success helps you tune your focus and redirect your energy toward what works best. Over time, you stop guessing, you start knowing. Clarity is not just about seeing the path ahead, it's about understanding yourself along the way. Every small win teaches you something about your strengths, weaknesses, habits, and mindset. You discover what motivates you, what discourages you, and what keeps you consistent. You begin to understand your rhythm, when you're most productive, how you handle challenges, and what drives your passion. The process of small wins turns self-doubt into self-awareness, and self-awareness is the foundation of lasting success. When you take action and achieve small wins, your perspective shifts. You stop seeing obstacles as signs to quit and start seeing them as feedback, opportunities to learn. Each step forward makes the next one less intimidating. You begin to realize the path doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to keep moving. Progress, not perfection, becomes your focus. That shift in mindset removes pressure and brings peace. You stop obsessing over the future and start trusting the process of the present. Small wins create clarity through confidence. The more success you experience, even in small doses, the more your mind believes that you can handle the next challenge. Doubt fades when evidence builds, and each small win is evidence that you're capable. Over time, you'll notice that your goals don't intimidate you anymore. They inspire you. You stop second-guessing yourself and start making decisions with conviction. That's what clarity feels like. Not the absence of uncertainty, but the presence of direction. Let's imagine two people with the same dream. One spends months planning, researching, and waiting for the perfect time to begin. The other starts immediately, taking small steps and learning as they go. 6 months later, the first person might still be unsure where to start, while the second has gained experience, results, and a clearer understanding of what works. That's the power of small wins. They replace theory with experience. You can't think your way into clarity. You have to act your way into it. When you understand that clarity grows through motion, you stop being afraid of failure. You realize that every outcome, good or bad, brings you closer to understanding your next move. You begin to welcome mistakes because each one brings insight. Small wins are not just about progress. They are about perception. They reshape how you see your goals, your challenges, and yourself. The more you act, the clearer your purpose becomes. Clarity built through small wins is lasting because it's rooted in experience, not theory. Plans can change, advice can fail, but personal insight stays with you forever. Each time you take a small step, you're not just moving forward, you're evolving. You're developing wisdom through action. And that wisdom is what allows you to make smarter choices, take bolder steps, and build a clearer path toward your dreams. So don't wait for the perfect vision to appear before you move. Start where you are with what you have and take the next small step. Because clarity isn't found at the beginning. It's created along the journey. Each small win is a piece of the map that leads you to where you're meant to go. And the more you move, the clearer that map becomes. In time, you'll realize that the path you were searching for was never hidden. It was waiting for you to take the first step. Pressure is something every ambitious person knows too well. The weight of expectations from society, from others, and from ourselves can feel overwhelming. We live in a world that celebrates massive achievements, but rarely talks about the small, invisible steps it takes to get there. That pressure to perform, to achieve instantly, often crushes dreams before they even start. But here's the truth. Pressure itself isn't the enemy. The real challenge is how we respond to it. And the most powerful way to handle pressure is by turning it into progress, one small win at a time. When we face pressure, our instinct is often to freeze or flee. We look at the mountain ahead and feel paralyzed by how far we have to climb. But small wins shift that perspective. Instead of being overwhelmed by the entire journey, they help you focus on the next step, something manageable, tangible, and within your control. That single step might not solve everything, but it breaks the weight of pressure into pieces you can handle. You stop asking, how will I ever do it all? And start asking, what can I do right now? That shift in mindset transforms anxiety into action. Small wins are the antidote to overwhelm. They don't eliminate pressure, but they give it direction. Think of pressure as raw energy. It can either destroy or drive you, depending on how you channel it. When you take small actions, you give that energy purpose. Instead of letting it sit and build into stress, you release it through progress. Each small win acts like a pressure valve, releasing tension bit by bit while building confidence. You begin to realize that progress is possible, even under pressure. And that realization is incredibly empowering. Every small win reminds you that you're in control of your effort, even if you can't control the outcome. You can't always predict how things will unfold, but you can always take one small step forward. That simple truth helps you stay grounded in high-pressure moments. Whether you're working toward a big goal, facing deadlines, or dealing with personal challenges, focusing on small wins keeps you from feeling consumed by the bigger picture. It gives you something to celebrate today, and that sense of accomplishment fuels the strength you need for tomorrow. Pressure, when left unchecked, feeds fear. But small wins feed courage. Each time you achieve something, no matter how minor, you prove to yourself that you can handle difficulty. You stop seeing pressure as a threat and start viewing it as a signal, a reminder that you're stretching, growing, and stepping outside your comfort zone. Pressure is proof that you're doing something meaningful. The key is to manage it through progress, not avoidance. Small wins convert fear into focus. Instead of letting your mind spiral into what ifs, you anchor it in what now. Consider how athletes train. They don't handle pressure by thinking about winning the championship every single day. They focus on daily drills, one match, one skill, one moment of improvement. Each small win, mastering a move, improving speed, perfecting form, builds both skill and confidence. That process doesn't just prepare them physically, it trains their mind to perform under pressure. They learn that pressure isn't something to fear, it's something to use. The same principle applies to life. Whether you're starting a business, learning a skill, or rebuilding your life, the small wins you achieve every day strengthen your ability to thrive under stress. The beautiful thing about small wins, that they create momentum, and momentum makes pressure easier to handle. When you're making progress, even slowly, you start to feel in control. The weight that once felt unbearable becomes manageable because you're no longer standing still. You're moving. And motion breeds confidence. The moment you start taking consistent small steps, the pressure to make everything perfect disappears. You realize that success isn't about doing everything right all at once. It's about doing something right over and over again. Small wins also shift your focus from perfection to progress. Under pressure, we often think we need to get everything right the first time. We chase flawless execution, fearing that mistakes mean failure. But small wins teach you that improvement matters more than perfection. They remind you that progress is built through iteration, trying, failing, adjusting, and trying again. Each small victory tells you you're learning, you're improving. That mindset removes the fear of failure and replaces it with resilience. You stop dreading mistakes because you know each one leads you closer to mastery. When you begin to view pressure as an opportunity rather than a burden, your entire outlook changes. Instead of shrinking under it, you start growing through it. You begin to crave challenge because you've learned how to handle it through action, through effort, through small daily wins. Pressure no longer feels like a mountain blocking your path. It becomes the fuel that propels you forward. Every time you take a small step despite fear, you build mental strength. That strength compounds until the same pressure that once intimidated you becomes your greatest motivator. The truth is, no one escapes pressure. It's a natural part of chasing something bigger than yourself. But the difference between those who crumble and those who conquer lies in how they use it. The people who succeed under pressure aren't superhuman. They're simply consistent. They've learned to transform big challenges into small, achievable tasks. They take the overwhelming and make it simple. They understand that progress, not perfection, is the cure for pressure. When you start celebrating small wins, you also train your brain to focus on what's going right instead of what's going wrong. That shift in focus builds optimism. You stop being consumed by the magnitude of your problems and start being inspired by the evidence of your progress. And when your mind sees proof that effort creates results, even small ones, it becomes easier to keep going even when the pressure increases. So, the next time you feel overwhelmed, remember pressure is a privilege. It means you're growing, stretching, and reaching for something that matters. You don't need to tackle everything at once. Just take one step, make one move, win one small battle today. Because every small win you achieve doesn't just reduce pressure, it converts it into progress. And when progress becomes your focus, no amount of pressure can hold you back. One of the most powerful truths about success, yet the least understood, is the principle of compound effort. Most people understand compound interest in money, but they fail to realize that the same principle applies to effort, discipline, learning, and growth. Success is not created by one massive push. It's the result of small, consistent actions that build on each other over time. Every small win you achieve doesn't just stand alone. It stacks, multiplies, and amplifies your future results. That's the magic of compounding effort. The longer you stay consistent, the greater the rewards become, often in ways you can't see at first. In the beginning, progress feels painfully slow. You put in hours, days, even months of effort, and it seems like nothing is changing. This is where most people quit, not because the goal is impossible, but because they don't yet understand compounding. What they fail to see is that early effort is like planting seeds. Growth is happening beneath the surface, even if it's invisible. Over time, those small, repeated actions begin to connect, strengthen, and expand. And suddenly, results start showing up all at once. The world calls it a breakthrough, but in reality, it's a compounding effect of all the small wins that came before. Every time you practice a skill, make a small improvement, or keep a promise to yourself, you're adding to the compounding bank of your life. Each small win builds upon the last one, creating momentum that accelerates over time. The beauty of this compounding process is that it doesn't just make you better, it makes improvement easier. Once habits are formed, once momentum is built, your progress no longer requires the same level of effort it did in the beginning. What once felt difficult becomes natural. That's when growth becomes exponential, not linear. Think of a simple example: learning a new skill, like public speaking. The first time you do it, you might be nervous, uncertain, and shaky. But if you speak a little every day, even just for 5 minutes, you'll start improving without realizing it. Each speech, each rehearsal, each reflection compounds into confidence and clarity. After a year, you won't even recognize the person who once struggled to speak in front of others. The transformation didn't happen overnight. It happened because each small effort built upon the last. That's the invisible power of compounding effort. Compounding also works in your mindset. Every time you push through discomfort, you strengthen your resilience. Each time you choose discipline over distraction, you reinforce your self-control. Over weeks and months, those mental victories multiply. Your willpower grows stronger. Your belief in yourself deepens. What once required immense effort eventually becomes second nature. That's how successful people stay calm under pressure and confident in uncertainty. They've compounded years of effort into unshackable mental strength. But the same principle works in reverse too. Just as positive actions compound into progress, inaction compounds into regret. Every time you delay, procrastinate, or give up too early, you're also compounding, but in the wrong direction. Missed opportunities build into lost potential. Small excuses pile up into big disappointments. That's why consistency matters so deeply, because every small choice, whether positive or negative, has a compounding effect on your future. You are always compounding something. The question is, are you compounding progress or decay? The magic of compounding effort lies in patience. It requires faith in the unseen, the belief that the little things you do today will create big things tomorrow. The problem is, we live in a world addicted to instant gratification. We want results now, recognition now, rewards now. But compounding doesn't work on demand. It rewards persistence, not impatience. The ones who truly succeed are those who are willing to keep watering their seeds even when nothing seems to be growing. They trust that consistency will pay off, and it always does, just not always when or how you expect. Look at any long-term success story. An athlete, an entrepreneur, a writer, a musician, and you'll see compounding at work. Behind every moment of overnight success are years of small, unseen efforts, the long hours of practice, the repeated failures, the daily discipline. All of it compounds silently until one day it becomes visible to the world. People call it talent, luck, or genius, but it's really persistence multiplied by time. The difference between the dreamers and the doers is that the doers keep showing up long enough for compounding to work in their favor. Another beautiful aspect of compounding effort is that it doesn't just improve what you do, it improves who you are. Each small effort adds another layer to your character. You become more disciplined, more focused, more confident, and more capable. Over time, your effort compounds into wisdom, and wisdom compounds into legacy. The growth isn't just in your achievements, it's in your evolution. You begin to think differently, act differently, and attract different results because you've built a new foundation for yourself through consistent effort. The early stages of compounding are the hardest because results are invisible. You'll question whether your actions matter. You'll doubt whether progress is real. But that's when you must hold on the tightest. Those who keep going during the invisible stage are the ones who eventually experience exponential rewards. Once the curve turns upward, it accelerates faster than you can imagine. Suddenly, people will look at your success and think it happened quickly. But you'll know the truth. It didn't happen fast. It happened faithfully. So, the next time you feel like your effort isn't paying off, remember this: every repetition, every early morning, every small win is adding up. You may not see it now, but compounding is working quietly behind the scenes. Progress might be slow today, but it's never wasted. One day everything will connect, and when it does, it will happen so fast that it'll look like magic. But it won't be magic. It'll be math, the simple, undeniable mathematics of compounding effort. And that's the secret successful people live by. They don't rely on motivation or luck. They rely on the unstoppable, invisible, and inevitable power of small, consistent effort, compounded daily until the extraordinary becomes the new normal. In the end, greatness is never built in a single moment. It's built in the small, quiet victories that no one sees. The early mornings when no one is watching. The extra effort when no one is cheering. The decision to keep going when quitting would be easier. Those are the moments that define you. Those are the small wins that shape your destiny. Every great mountain is climbed one step at a time. Every strong empire begins with one brick. And every powerful transformation starts with one small decision. The decision to start, to stay consistent, and to believe that your effort matters. You don't need to do everything today, you just need to do something. Because small wins stacked daily become unstoppable momentum. The truth is, small wins don't look impressive at first, they look ordinary. But when ordinary actions are repeated with extraordinary consistency, they create results that look impossible. The people who change the world aren't the ones who wait for perfect moments. They're the ones who make progress in imperfect moments. So when you wake up tomorrow, don't ask, how will I achieve everything? Ask instead, what small win can I create today? Because that's how real success begins. Not with giant leaps, but with small, deliberate steps. And one day, you'll look back and realize those small wins weren't small at all. They were the foundation of everything you've become.